Hello and welcome back to another episode of Diving Deep with me, David O.C., the series where we delve a little bit deeper and get to know not only the athletes but also some of the people behind the scenes here at Centurion Boats. And today I am delighted to say that at long last we will be joined by Grant Korgan. Now Grant is one of my all-time favourite people. He is a fantastic buzz to be around. His vibe is brilliant and his story is phenomenal. So make sure to sit back, relax and enjoy this episode.
Okay, so Grant, this has been long awaited. I'm so excited to finally have you on here. How's things with you?
So good, brother. It's amazing to see you. So much time and many miles have passed, and distance between us since the last time we hung out.
I know we were just saying off air, it's been over 2 years probably.
In over 2 years, I think I've even visited your mother country. I think I've been to Ireland since the last time we saw each other, and I got to experience the magic of the kingdom of Kerry up in Dingle. I got to go up in
No
there.
way, really? Wow, I didn't know you came to Ireland. What did you come for?
We had it was a film festival that our film The Push was invited to, and we got to screen up in Dingle, and so it was amazing. We flew into Dublin, we drove, we got to go to various castles. One of the castles was Dromoland, which was insane. I mean, the whole place, like Ireland is a gem on this earth. You live in the greatest place possible.
I know, it's been good. I actually went on my summer holidays last year to Dingle, funny enough. Not as glamorous as where I would have liked to have gone somewhere international, maybe with a nicer, sandier beach, but it's been nice. It's not the worst place to be for a long period of time.
I love that two guys that love wake, water, warm weather, and getting Sendy behind the boat both so appreciate the cold and the intensity and the kind of the landlocked element of being inside Central Ireland.
I was going to say, did you try go surfing or anything? There's some pretty good waves, particularly on that west coast.
I did look because I forget the names of the beach, but I think it's Priest Lake, or there's some big wave surfing spot just north up the coast.
Moor is like one of them, I think, as well. It's one of the biggest waves, I think, in the world.
I was saving that for when you and I get to hang out. So next trip, I'll bring my board and we'll go do that together.
I'll film you because I ain't going out there. I've got no surfing skills.
You say that, but I don't believe the words that are coming out of your mouth. I know you got skills.
Oh, I don't know. But anyway, how's everything been? What have you been up to? I know you've been doing a lot of flying. Life's been going in all sorts of directions for you.
It's been amazing. Honestly, I think, you look at, we've just come through a big global pandemic, and it isn't about what happens to you. It's who you become through your struggles. It's what you do through your challenges. Supercross championships, they say all the time, they're won on your worst day. And as we went into this pandemic, it went from, traveling 3 weeks out of the month for speaking events to all of a sudden being, all of that stopped. And we just chose to develop and to push and to internally sort of evolve. And it turned into, obviously I love being a pilot, but for me, I've been able to get my pilot's license since having a spinal cord injury, and I'm flying all over the world, having a blast and getting to do amazing things in the world of private aviation. And in that time, in the pandemic, I went, after we came out of quarantine, I got to go up, I got my seaplane rating, so now I'm flying airplanes that turn to boats, and boats that turn to airplanes. Dream. Brother, it's amazing. It's like the best thing ever. I love it.
And have you ever, has anyone ever gone wakeboarding? I've seen Parks Bonifay do some stuff with some helicopters. Has anyone wakeboarded behind a seaplane?
I think so. I know I've seen it. I don't know who did it, but it's totally possible if you're willing to wakeboard at, say, 70 miles an hour.
I'm all right, thanks.
You can, because when you get the plane up on step, it's called up step, where the pontoons get up on the water. You're probably, depending on the plane, you're doing about 40 to your rotate speed's about 60, something like that, depending on the plane. And then once it takes off, you're going to be holding on for dear life at 70 to 90. So if you do want to do it, just know that it's a yes, and we'll do it together on Tahoe.
Okay. I'm definitely a yes for that. I'm a little bit apprehensive, but I think get a good film crew and just, I don't know, swallow any fear that I have and just go for it. But I think it'd be so cool.
How are you
Um,
doing? My money's on you for that. Like, I've seen your skill behind the boat, and I think you'd be amazing behind the plane as well.
I don't know. Well, I've not done a whole lot of speed wakeboarding before though, so we'll see how that one goes.
I guess we think of it like like a cable park, but at like 4 times the speed, maybe like a
Yeah,
4x cable park.
and potentially 4 times the height by the time you really lift
We
off.
just we just fly close to the ground because I mean it'd be no good. I mean maybe it's not gonna come up, but we'll just keep it low. We'll
Yeah,
work this out. We got a
that
plan.
would actually be so cool. Watch this space. Watch this space. But so a big part of this podcast is to it's called diving deep, and it's to dive a little bit deeper into the people who are involved with the brand, whether it's athletes, people working behind the scenes. And so I guess my first question is, when did it all start for you with water sports? Like, was it as a child? Was it after your injury? At what point did it all begin?
First, I want to start off by saying thank you. Thanks for doing this. I love this series, and I love that you're doing this, and to be able to experience kind of a deeper experience with a lot of our teammates and Centurion isn't just a brand; it's a family. And so, getting to know your family deeper and deeper and deeper, it's been really cool. And so, thanks for your efforts and time. And for me, wake sports began when I was a young kid. I grew up in Lake Tahoe, and as you know, the Centurion brand evolved from Tahoe. My childhood best friend Duncan Lee put me in proximity to Rick Lee and Pamela Lee, and so we were always, you know, as young kids on Lake Tahoe, we were testing these prototype boats and had access to these amazing, you know, as the sport evolved, pieces of equipment that Duncan and I could go interact with, and it was you know, Centurion that invented wake surfing. So here's the brand that is on the forefront of creating this new sport. And yeah, our experience as kids came from the scurfer and the kneeboard and, you know, the ski bob and, you know, waking up at 4 a.m. as young kids to go out for photo shoots at, you know, on Lake Tahoe where it was, say, 55-degree water and it's 7 a.m. and that's the only time you get glass. And that was my experience with boating. I loved it, and it was magical, and it was just special time for me with Duncan. And I loved that time of my life. And then, you know, as Duncan and I grew up, we got more into other sports, and, you know, biking became a thing, and skiing and snowmobiling, and off we go into parts unknown. And wham, I have a spinal cord injury. I have a brutal injury, an accident that happens. Duncan and I became professional snowmobilers, and we were out filming a movie. We were filming on scene, and I overshot a jump. I landed too hard, and I burst fractured my first lumbar vertebrae. And just like that, in a matter of a hard landing, I didn't even crash. I just hit so hard, bam, that my spine, upper spine hit the lower spine and burst fractured my L1 vertebrae. And it was Duncan, here's my childhood friend, who made all the right decisions with a gentleman named Ken and Ryan, the three of them, just super team, but made all the right decisions in all the right order to get me into a helicopter, get me out of the backcountry, and start that journey of recovery. But in the beginning, you could take a Sharpie marker and draw it around from my belly button all the way around my body, zero feeling, no movement from my belly button down. And that's where the journey started. And I'm going to fast track through a lot of the injury elements, but my wife Shauna was just uniquely positioned to be able to put me in a mindset where her whole background's in fitness, health ecology, fitness physiology. I mean, this is her college degree, and she owned at the time an 8,000 square foot wellness facility that was a women's based health and wellness facility. And she basically closes the door on that and focuses wholly on me and our recovery. And it was 6, 8, 10, sometimes 12 hours a day indoors in the gym with her working me out, and started to get feeling and started to get movement. And, you know, I went from a wheelchair to a walker to a set of crutches, and, you know, years later into a set of forearm canes. And the way she did it was by realizing, as you would probably be the same mindset. I mean, we're outdoor cats. We're not indoor cats. Like the working out in the gym thing inside, it's not
Not for me either. No. I much prefer to get my exercise by doing sport as opposed to pushing up and down weights.
It's body by athletic passion, not necessarily by focused indoor. This is what I'm working out today. And don't get me wrong. I mean, supplementing is the way. It's non-negotiable at this point. But
and you have to do it, particularly if you're recovering from an injury.
Totally. And it's just, for me, it wasn't the workout, the fact itself. It was, do you really want to work out for 10 hours a day? And what she realized early on was, I'm going to have to trick his mind. And the way she did that was working with an incredible foundation. A gentleman named Roy Tuscany had this idea of putting the first spinal cord injured athlete on the continent of Antarctica to ski the final degree of latitude over 100 miles all the way to the South Pole. And so when Shauna locked up on that idea, all of a sudden, instead of, hey, you have to work out 10 hours a day, right, to be able to just recover, it was, hey, you're on your way to this expedition, which is my base state. I love that kind of challenge and that sort of suffering. And so now it was me saying, we need to work out 12 hours a day. And that's what got me in the mode. And all of a sudden, recovery, started to take this exponential rise. We go on the expedition. We ended up being incredibly successful. We skied the full distance all the way to the bottom of the globe in Antarctica. And bam, expedition, great. That turned into, so we wrote a book before that. A speaking career was launched before that. And I found myself at WSIA as the keynote speaker. This was back in, I think, 2015, back when it was in Steamboat Springs. And it was amazing because it was a homecoming for me. I had been loving, for the past many years, I found sky skiing. So basically the air chair in so many ways. And I'm doing backflips behind the boat again. And Duncan and I are having a blast. And one of my best friends, Galen, we're, jumping the wake side to side. I mean, just having boat days again, which were huge. It was huge for me to be back behind the boat. And I get to present and give a keynote speech at WSIA. And it wasn't long after that the Centurion team reached out and said, we'd like to bring you on the pro team. And it was Rick on a conversation. He said, hey, what do you think about the idea of co-developing the sport of sit-down wake surfing so that we can do the work and do the development so we can share it with others that have had an injury, a wounded athlete, wounded warrior, first responder, anybody that maybe just wants to sit down and ride behind the boat. And it was amazing. We did. So we reached out to a buddy of mine that makes GP suspension in LA for fast street bikes. He made the cage out of titanium. Rick worked with Inland Surfer to be able to find just all the right boards. Centurion, Shane made up these very cool CNC plates that we used to mate everything up. And the day came, we're on Tahoe. Duncan is in a prototype FS44, right? Full of people. The rope is straight. Rick is on a jet ski holding me in the water by the board. I'm basically right at like face level with the water. He's holding me, and I had no say in the matter. It was just whenever Rick said go, that was when it was going to happen. I'm holding the rope kind of off to the side of the board and trying to figure it out and not drown. And then Rick yells, hit it, and Duncan floors it. Boat pulls out of the water, and sure enough, I pop right up on the water, pulled right into the wave, and I'm holding the rope, and it worked. It just super worked. And a lifetime of wake surfing began from that moment on for me, and it's been nothing but bliss.
That is insane. Now, can I actually ask, because wake surfing, I'm brutal at it. Like, I've done it very seldom for how much I always just feel like because I obviously love wakeboarding. So whenever I get the opportunity behind a Centurion, I'm just focused on using the big wake 75 feet back. But I have obviously wake surfed, and I know that a big kind of rule of thumb is your front foot's your accelerator and your back foot's your brake. So how do you do that then when you're sitting down? Is it about leaning back and forth?
So you're basically, you pivot. For me, I pivot from the fulcrum is my butt in the seat. And when I'm surfing, I'll turn this way and show you, a lot of it is forward and back just with my upper body. But since in the development of learning to wake surf and the love of learning the wave, and to your point, how deep and far back you can get on the Centurion wave, we started about 3 years ago. I started foiling behind the wake as well. And so the way that I foil is not with my chest, because that's so much control on the foil. I do it with my neck. So as I'm foiling, I'm doing this business, and I do my turns with my arms. Like, I kind of throw my shoulders to establish the rotation, but you're basically controlling the foil with your neck the whole time. So it's kind of a funny thing. You've seen me ride, and I'm sort of doing this like neck hula hoop program.
Yeah. It could become a meme for one of those things like dancing.
I need like a bobblehead doll, you know, like a foiling bobblehead.
Yeah, that is mad. I'm like, I'd love to try. I've never tried. I've done the sky ski before. I've had an awful time. It's so, like you said, it's so sensitive, and it's also so counterintuitive as well. So I'd love to try it on a wave for sure. I think it'd be
I
very.
feel like you've just been holding out for a trip to Tahoe to come out and jump on our boat and just do nothing but sky skiing, wake foiling, and amazing wake surfing.
You know, I've never been to Lake Tahoe. It's one of my dream locations. Lake Tahoe and Lake Powell, two places I am dying to go to, but have yet to kind of experience.
Well, next time you're over, you say the word because you've got a Lake Tahoe experience just waiting for you. Like your season pass on our boat is like it's all laminated and minted, and it's just like ready to go.
Unreal, unreal. And actually, so I know we talked about doing this podcast for ages, and one of the things at the time when I was speaking to Shell was that you had actually just visited the factory and you were kind of designing the new boat. How's that? Have you got it yet? Has it materialized? Is it still being built? What's going on there?
So this was one of the coolest boating experiences I've probably had. So this year's team boat, this was a ton of fun. This year's team boat was, you know, we just come out of a global pandemic and there was a whole lot of challenge. And so it was, let's make the most fun boat possible. And one of my best friends, Galen Gifford, he has forever wanted to build a boat named Tahoe Vice, which is a theme on Miami Vice, but obviously lives on Tahoe. And his whole mindset on this is, do you remember the 1990s? Like, think about Don Johnson, Miami Vice, speedboat era, like all things cool about speedboats and white, you know, sport coats and, you know, neon fanny packs and, you know, the hair, all of it.
Like that's what, as Irish people, we just see America as that. It's the stereotype almost.
So this in Ireland, this could be America's boat right now. So in the 90s, so those boats were, you know, pink, teal, they were white base, they were all these amazing fun colors. And so we did that. This year we designed Tahoe Vice, and it's a white base RI 245 with pink and with teal. It's got that, you know, Princess Peak and that Bahama, like Bimini blue, like it's just beautiful and it's all metal flake and gorgeous. And so when we designed it and sent it in, it was one of those super fun ones where it was obvious that when it popped out of the mold, we were going to have to come see it, just like, you know, first eyes on. So this is why it was such a fun experience. We were able to, so again, I'd finished my pilot's license years back, and my wife, Sean, and I jumped in the plane. We flew out of Truckee right next to Tahoe, flew down to Merced, got to land just right there at the Merced Regional Airport, pulled in. We got picked up, we swept right over to the factory, and we went right into just bam, straight to Tahoe Vice. And everybody, I mean, Amy, Shane, Paul, I mean, it was immediately clear that what it was meant to do, which is bring about stoke and fun and people's highest version of high frequency happiness, it landed, like it really worked. And what's been amazing is since getting the boat on Tahoe now, everywhere we go, you'll be, you know, you're riding along, you're off to lunch or dinner, you've got somebody surfing and other boats come by and they're cheering, and you think, like, because your brain thinks at first, oh, it's, you know, it's definitely for the person, you know, she's back there killing it on the wave. And then sometimes you look back, there's nobody on the wave, there's no reason people should be cheering, but oh, I get it, it's pink, it's blue, it's Tahoe Vice. And it's just been a really cool way to share positivity and stoke out the whole Tahoe Basin with the magic that is Centurion and the incredible colorways that you can make on these boats.
That is amazing. I'm looking forward to cashing in on my my season pass there.
You've got it. It's minted, brother. Certified season pass, laminated.
That's unreal. And so another kind of thing, just watching a few YouTube clips of you, you're so positive, and I know this from meeting you, and you're literally just so stoked and happy the whole time. And I have a big question is, were you like this before your incident, or is this a new thing that you kind of adapted, you learned a lot from it and you kind of grew up quickly from it, or was this always Grant?
You know, I think it's always been me, in a sense that I've always known how grateful I am for the experiences that I'm having. Like, I was that middle schooler that was like wowed by the experience of growing up in Tahoe. And I remember having friends that were like, there's nothing to do here, can't wait to leave, got to go to LA, there's no clubs. And not speaking down on that because people have different paths, but take Duncan and I, we were just like overwhelmed by the gratitude and the stoke and the awareness of what it was like to be able to, as middle schoolers, we're going to go backpacking, we're off to go biking, we're going to dig jumps in this incredible set of woods. Like it wasn't that. I guess what I'm saying is we were so aware of how incredible it was, and everything has translated like that. I remember my mom's a hugger. My dad, not so much a hugger pre my injury. And I've always just loved hugs. And everywhere we go, I mean, you know, when we first met, it's hugs and love and
You must be struggling at the moment then.
I'm so, like, I'm hug low right now. That's been the hardest part of a global pandemic is hugs. And then, you know, masks and the whole thing. And it's like, I'm just so used to touch and contact, and just I always, when I meet somebody and I see somebody, we start at 100. Like it's just like put that friendship level as high as it can go. And I think to see the world through that lens it's a beautiful life, to be able to just expect the best in humanity and see the goodness that people really emanate when you create that environment. And so I've always kind of been in that state of making lemonade out of lemons and moving through struggle and challenge. And then bam, when the spinal cord injury happened, it wasn't my first life-altering injury. I had another one that was in college where we were skiing, we were filming, yet again, snow and filming. And I came off, it was a triple cliff, it was an elevator jump, and I ended up gapping all three. I landed in a spot that should have been fresh, completely beautiful powder in this nice little V-notch. And what it was is the wind had tunneled out that snow. And when I hit, I expected powder because it was a powder day, but it was rock hard. And my knee came right off my knee hit my chin, and I broke my face in 9 places, and I shattered 17 teeth. And bam, when it hit, I was still like, I had so much speed that translated off the hit. My first thought was, A, I'm going way too fast, and B, where did all these rocks come from that are in my mouth? And it was all my teeth. And I stopped. I was able to stop right in front of the cameraman. I remember he's, you know, if this is the camera, he's filming, and he kind of looks to the side, and, you know, with this look of, oh my dude, it was that my chin had, when I broke face in 9 places, and my chin was over here. And that kicked off many years of surgeries and many years of recovery. And so I had already, you know, when my spine broke, one of my thoughts right off the bat, you know, even when I was in the helicopter, was, this can't be happening. I've already had a life-altering injury. Like lightning doesn't strike twice, right? And it can, and it sure, it's 100% possible. So for me, kind of having these mindsets and these tactics and these abilities to move through struggle, and not just move through them, but thrive through them, and not just thrive through them, but smile through them, and not just smile through them, but genuinely feel the goodness and the positivity, and not just feel it, but also give it to others and translate it. Like that, I think is something I've known forever, but it's been a superpower to be able to move through the pain and the challenge and the struggle. Because let's be honest, I could 100% choose right now, today, to say, my body hurts, I'm in more nerve pain than I can process, I can't do the sports that make me feel amazing in the way that I want to do them, and life is not optimized, so I'm out. I could fully choose to step out of that and say, you know what, things aren't good. And there's truth to that. I mean, there's truth to that. I walk in canes. Everything is more difficult. The nerve pain is beyond real. Like, all these things are real, but so I could choose to put them here, and that then becomes my identity. Or I can say, hey, I acknowledge you. I know you're real, but I'm going to set you on the shelf over here while I go have a good time. Yeah. And choose to move forward. And in doing that, bro, the positivity and the vibes, I mean, like, to our point, like when we first hung out, I mean, I'm a David O.C. fan for life. Like, it's, you just set the stoke here, and everything else seems to just work out and follow.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing to hear that. And you just really see that kind of silver lining. And I guess your life probably in many ways for the better has taken a completely different turn. Like you said, like now your career is public speaking, books, documentaries. And am I correct in saying you did engineering in college?
I did. I mean, it gets even deeper. So I was a mechanical engineering degree. So that was what my degree was in, mechanical engineering, and then found my way into nanoscience. So I ended up working out of Stanford with this ability to, we had a lab up in Reno and a lab down in Stanford, and we began a company that built basically photonic laser devices that gave, we would create the targets that were required for these incredible experiments that happened all over the world at various, say, petawatt laser facilities that were creating ionic phenomena on the backside of, say, a huge beam of energy in laser light that would hit the thing that we would make with MEMS technology, nanotechnology. And then the ions that traveled beyond that high energy density laser ablation was what was opening new worlds in the worlds of a reduction of ocular tumors. That was what we were working on. We kind of had twofold business plan. One was medical, so tumors, and the other one was the idea of potentially fusion energy. I mean, the concept, what if you could create real fusion energy, which fusion runs the power of the sun, but on Earth, and it basically runs on two isotopes, deuterium and tritium, that are found in water, and the exhaust is basically clean H2O. So like, you know, it's sort of a dream in that way, but it's not unrealistic, because that's what the sun, that is the reaction that happens in the sun at 100,000 degrees Kelvin that warms us up. And so free energy for everybody, I'm in for that.
You are so funny. You're even passionate about things that are like quite, well, obviously that's your interest as well, but like I've never heard anyone so passionate about some scientific type of stuff. That's incredible.
So you can imagine how passionate I am about when I get to make a wave for somebody, right? Like how much fun. I mean, for me, it's super epic. Centurion gives you 7 variables, these huge abilities to craft a wave for somebody. I mean, you can make the most custom wave on the planet in the industry certainly in the new RI-245. But for me, I'm at the helm, and when you're out there surfing, I can bring the sweet spot of the wave to you. I can literally watch where you surf, watch you make a couple of turns, and then and I shift the boat around and I bring the wave right to you. And all of a sudden you're having the best day of your life. And why is this working so well? And it's because we brought the sweet spot to you.
You're combining your geekiness and your sportingness.
Yes, which is another reason you can imagine how much fun I'm having in the plane when I'm flying around, you know, knobbing and having a good time and working with ATC and Tracom. And then when the plane gets to land on water, whoa.
Yeah, I can only imagine. It goes against everything it should ever do.
Yes, totally. And like, there's alarms going off in your head when you're descending down to a lake. You're like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And then those pontoons touch, and it's just, I mean, it's immediately like it's innate. You're like, yes, this is how it should be. You should land on a lake. You should put the plane on a buoy, unclip your boat, and then go play, and then go back to the plane, fly back to the airport, and like that all makes total sense. Like that's happening.
Makes no sense in my brain, but I'll let you in. And where did the flying come from? The interest in that? What was the spark for that?
So, you know, when I was a teen, and my dad, we were on a Jeep trip together, and we used to be really into off-road Jeeps, and we built a Jeep together, my dad and I. It was awesome. And there's a trail outside of Tahoe called the Rubicon Trail, and it's a 2-3 day overnight Jeep trail. And we were about halfway, I think we were on night 2 on this one particular trip, and a Bell 206 Jet Ranger helicopter flies in, lands, and this pilot gets out with this epic mustache. I mean, just this insane, sweet mustache, takes his helmet off and announces, hey, I'm going to give helicopter rides. Who's in? And somehow it worked out, you know, that Dad was able to secure a ride, and he put me in the front seat, and this helicopter took off. We flew all around the Rubicon Basin, got to see the upper, you know, the headwaters of the North Fork of the American. Like, I mean, the backside of Tahoe basically is where we were. And my mind was completely blown. And when that helicopter landed, I was a wholly different human being than I was when the helicopter took off. Like, I knew that was my goal. That was what I meant. That's what I was meant to do in the world. And I wanted to be, from that moment, I wanted to be a care flight pilot. I wanted to be a helicopter medevac care flight pilot, to be able to help people in their greatest time of need, when the only thing between life and death is aviation, is that helicopter that can come in, swoop you out of danger, and take you to the hospital. And my parents were like, great, cool, love that, have fun, but like after college. You do college, and after that, you do whatever you want. And so I stayed focused, and I stayed focused. Mechanical engineering led me to nanoscience, and all of a sudden, I found myself so far from my aviation goal, which was amazing. It was amazing where I was in life and what I was doing. And I was the president of a nanotechnology company, and we were traveling the world and doing these great laser campaigns, and it was wonderful. But then I meet my dream girl. I meet Shauna. I meet my soulmate, right? And on one of our first conversations, this is like first conversation post first kiss kind of thing. It's that fresh, that new, but I already knew we were getting married. Like, it was like the minute I met her, it was clear to me, like that all made sense. Like, I couldn't live without her. There was zero chance that like we weren't getting married. And then first kiss, first conversation, she says, okay, if you could do anything in life, anything, and you'd be wildly successful at it, all the money needs would be met, you would be fulfilled on high, there's zero negativity, all your needs are met, what would you do with your time? And I said, oh, I'd be the president of a nanotechnology company. She goes, no, I know that's what you're doing now, but what would you do with your time if all your needs were met? Anything. And I said, oh, well, I'd be a paramedic helicopter pilot. She goes, great, tomorrow you start getting your flight ratings. And she stands up and she walks away. And I'm like, oh, because she didn't want to hear any of the excuses, because everybody has a billion excuses why they shouldn't do their life dream. But it was fundamental truth for me. This wasn't something that I just sort of popped off. It was deep seated. I love this. I want to fly helicopters. I want to do aviation. It was deep, and it just popped out. And then she said, great, tomorrow you start getting your ratings. And she walked off. And it took me probably 30 minutes to get over the, wait, no, I can't because no, I guess I could. I can't because, well, I guess I could. And within a week, I bought all my books. I found an instructor, and I bought into an airplane, and I began fixed wing flying. And I got all the way to the point where I was about to take my FAA check ride. I'm there, I've done it. I'm like, literally the check ride with the FAA is scheduled, and I end up in the ICU. And Shauna had to call from the hospital to the examiner and cancel my check ride and say, hey, he's not gonna make it yet. She kept that door open for me. And it took 5 years of therapy to get my legs working to the point that I could push rudder pedals. It took 3 years working with the FAA to get to the point that I got a Class 1 medical, which is the same medical that an airline transport pilot has to fly big, giant 747s. It took 2 years after that of training hard in the plane in a Cirrus SR-20 to learn and get current again and get everything all put back together for me to figure out every way to fly. And then I finally got to take that check ride. And brother, it was a dream come true. Through that therapy, I would always visualize, because it was this life dream that I got so close to. And then I pulled myself away from it, 100% me, and it got a million miles away further. And so when I would be in therapy, I'd close my eyes and I would visualize having taken the test, landed, taxiing to parking, doing my full shutdown checklist, putting my hands in my lap, knowing I'd done everything I could possibly do to pass this test. And I would visualize the examiner, she or he, reaching their hand across the plane, shaking my hand and saying, congrats, you passed. So this was a huge piece of motivation for me when I'm, hour 8 of a 10-hour workout, on that awful elliptical machine that I'm just sweating and dealing with, and like, oh God, that time of life is a challenge. So I visualized this, the day of the test, flew, did my best flying ever, landed, amazing landing, pull in, park, do my shutdown checklist, put my hands in my lap knowing I've done everything I could do. This is that moment. And I kid you not, it was exactly how I visualized it. Really? His hand came across the cockpit, shook my hand, said, congrats, you passed. And then we had a lot of friends and family that were there at the airport. Doors come open. I nearly get yanked out of the plane. I'm like, ah! It's like one of those, like, he's a jolly good fellow kind of moments. And then it was just on. We just celebrated for days.
That is absolutely incredible. That's so, so cool. And I feel like everything you do, it's not even that you want to be good. There's a huge amount of that, but you just love doing things. And I feel like, I don't know how you wait. I'm sure life, there's a schedule, but I don't know how you wake up, because I feel like you've so many different passions. And a lot of people struggle to find one passion in life. And I don't know how you wake up and decide what to do on it. If you have like a free day, like, okay, I've got 5 days in a row where I can do whatever I want. Like, it must be so hard to find the balance with everything.
I think like what you just described. So I've got 5 days. Like for me, like I get like I almost felt the goosebumps coming to my arm because I'm like, oh man, we're gonna get on boat. We're gonna foil. We're gonna surf. We're gonna get the plane out. Like I can just like I can already like I can fill out those 5 days quick. And I think what it is truly is it's condition based, right? Living in Tahoe. You've got 4 seasons, and so the sports are dictated in a lot of ways by we're in that perfect boating window. And in boating, it's really 3 months of boating. But if you're core as you are, I mean, as an Ireland man and as a Tahoe guy, like we're in a 4-3 wetsuit before the season starts for a month. And after we're like way concerned about, we should probably winterize our boat, but like we could get 2 more days and like fingers crossed, that it doesn't drop super below freezing. So, depending on the weather window, we go hard in that sport. And then bam, it's winter. So it's skiing, or because it's winter, there's surf trips. Now we're off to, parts unknown where it's warm on the other side of the planet. And we're like that. To me, surfing has really just blown my mind away.
Really? You've enjoyed surfing quite a lot?
It's been cool because I surfed a little before my injury. And then
I saw you surfed with Bethany Hamilton too.
I did. She is an incredible athlete. People ask, they say, is it really that impressive what she does? And I'd say to them, you try and paddle out at the world's most heavy waves, Jaws, Pipe, Cloud Break. And then you go 10 feet or 30 feet deeper than anybody else in the lineup because you need to be at the vertical spot. And you do a 1-arm push-up, land on your feet, and then rip the wave.
You do a 2-armed push-up, and you still don't do it.
We'll go do it. So she's a hero to me. I mean, she really is. And her husband, Adam, dear friend, their whole family, they're amazing people. And she is an exceptional human being that has a heart that's bigger than, gosh, the whole of Texas. I use that because Texas is gigantic.
Yeah.
I love Texas.
And has she ever wake surfed?
She does. She does wake surf. She's been out to Tahoe and she does wake surf. I think she's to your point about all these various sports and modalities. She's somebody that could do anything on the planet. I mean, you could ask her to be I don't know. I mean, anything from like in any sport that's in the Olympics. If it was skateboarding or if it was surfing, I mean, she has that eye of the tiger, heart of a lion, skill of Kelly Slater, mindset and mentality and ability. Her skills are incredible, but her spirit, I think, is more incredible.
Yeah. Very, very similar to yourself.
Oh, I love you. Thank you, bro.
That's amazing. And I'm trying to think, I could sit here and talk forever, but it'll be too long for people to listen. Maybe we can do like a live stream on Instagram or something at another time. That would actually be quite cool.
Let's do a live stream on Instagram from Tahoe after your first sky ski set.
Yes, absolutely. That would be sensational. Maybe in the near-ish. Well, it's going to be too cold by the time I can probably come over, but
next season, and then we'll you could fly into Reno. I'll pick you up in a float plane, and then we'll straight in. That'd be the move. Because you got to ride behind the float plane. This is like a thing.
We've got a lot of things to cover, but no, I'm 100%. And next time you're in Ireland, like let me know, and we can. I mean, we don't really have great weather. We don't really have too many big wakes, but we can go out and I can take you to some of the best surf spots. And I'm quite friendly with a guy called Conor McGuire who surfed the biggest ever wave in Ireland just this past winter. And so can go surfing with him. I went a couple of months ago. Now I'm brutal on a surfboard, but he's a cool guy as well. Just loves surfing. And it's a cool place in Ireland as well. It's like a surfer town and there's not like too much hustle and bustle. It's just all about like waiting for the right waves and it's just a nice chilled place. You've done so many, like you said, going to the south. Was it South Pole and South Pole, wasn't it?
South Pole, yes.
And I think you also kayaked the circumference of Lake Tahoe. So you've done all these things. What is next on that kind of adventure list of yours?
So The kayaking around Tahoe was amazing. We set the world record paddling an OC1 outrigger canoe around the circumference of Lake Tahoe. Couldn't be more than 1,000 feet offshore at any given point, otherwise the record wouldn't stand.
How long is that? The whole thing?
It's 72 miles, and my time, I ended up finishing in 14 hours and 15 minutes and broke the old record by basically 2 hours, which was all because of Shauna, frankly. It was all because she lied to me at every point that I was supposed to take, say, a 2-minute break. I'd come in, and you can't touch the chase boat, because as soon as you touch it, you're disqualified, because you could take the boat and it could idle with you. So you can't touch the chase boat. So I come in, I'd reach my paddle out. She'd put, little like goo and cliff blocks and things on there. And I just barely get him in. And she's like, 30 seconds, go. And it had only been 10 seconds that I'd been there. So she basically knew that my body could do it and kept keeping me from taking these longer breaks. And so I went through the night, and by the time the sun rose, because I couldn't see, my GPS was out on my Alma. It passed where I could reach, but I'm out paddling. And when the sun rose, I'm pretty good at math, and I looked at it and I'm like, wait a minute, we're not gonna not make the record. We're gonna beat the record by a tall margin, because I had about 3 hours to go when the sun rose. And she all night was like, if you want to break this record, you better keep it on. And like it was all heart rate based, so I had to keep my heart rate at about 160, which is a ton for that long.
Yeah, it's a long time about heart.
But so that was a fun one. And what was rad too was we had 2 Centurion boats as chase boats through the whole deal. So it was one FS44 was the athlete boat, and marking me, and had this has got the stopwatch, and Sean was on there, so cute with their little clipboard and her stopwatch, and Duncan and his amazing wife Mel, and it was rad. And then Galen was in another Centurion, and they were the media boat. They built a whole boom arm that they strapped down inside and over the tower. So they had a boom camera that could come in over me. It was rad. But what's next? So what's next is I am about to endeavor on an aviation expedition where I am working hard on all my ratings, and so that I can get to the point that I am able to do aerobatic competitions. And I'm working on another scenario to be able to give scholarships to young kids to be able to do what I always wanted to do, which was get my ratings. But where does somebody come up with $25,000 to be able to do that? That was a barrier to entry that I really identified, certainly after going through spinal cord injury and wanting to get back to that. And so we're endeavoring to be able to make that more possible for kids, and really connect them with the magic of science and physics and chemistry and all these things that, why should I care about them? Trig and math, why do I care about that in middle school? And the answer is, your passion may need you to care about that. So when you get to it, you're eventually wanting, I want to be a helicopter pilot, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a doctor. All of that foundation's there. You care about it earlier in life.
It's super ironic, because you said earlier when you were in the gym, there was no reason to it. But as soon as you knew you had that challenge, that thing that you actually wanted to do, you were well able to do 12 hours. And it's funny, same again with the school. You don't want to learn the maths, but then when in an applied manner, it'll actually make sense. And then all of a sudden it's easier to do.
You're nailing it. I love it. And you're so right. Imagine, what if somebody came to you and connected all your studies to what you wanted to do later in life? You're not just from an occupational standpoint, but from a passion standpoint. You're going to dig in on the math. You're going to dig in on the chemistry and the physics, and heck yeah, I want to know all that. And I think even as a mechanical engineer, I think I connected to it late. I was less interested in all of those things in middle school and leading into high school than I should have been. And then I get to college and I'm all in on it. But it would have made college a little easier to have been more interested earlier on.
Yeah, but it's hard to know that when you're young, isn't it?
True. So share your passion with kids. And another thing, you asked what's next. We just got back from an amazing Operation Wake Surf event with Robbie Mastroff.
I was gonna say, have you spent much time with him? Because you're destined for each other.
He's near and dear to my heart. I mean, that's a brother through and through. I mean, he's a brother in life, a brother in positivity, and a brother in empowering others. I'm so passionate about watching people have breakthroughs, and I'm so passionate about, as a speaker and a motivator, somebody that I can get with an audience in a group, and I want to see people live the highest versions of themselves. And when I met Robbie, I knew that was him through and through, authentically, raw, organically, beautifully. Robbie lives to see people have breakthroughs, and he so deservedly has begun this movement. It's growing beyond him, and he's the grandfather. He's the OG in so many ways. And to be on a boat watching him host others in the greatest boating experience of their life it's kind of like sitting back and watching Sting play, or like Stevie Ray Vaughan riff. He's in his mastery. So I'm forever a Robbie fan. I'm forever an Operation Wake Surf fan. I'll be raising awareness funds. Anything I can do to help them. It's amazing. And to see our family, the Centurion family, empower Robbie's ability to be able to bring first responders and military vets and people who have gone through these struggles out on the water and experience what you and I are so blessed to get to experience regularly. It's life-changing. It's life-changing. And so I'm really proud of Centurion. I'm really proud of Robbie. I'm proud of Roswell. I'm proud of all the supporting elements that make this happen. And I'm so proud to be Centurion family. I'm so proud to be Roswell family. It's just downright heart-filling.
Yeah, I'm looking forward now, hopefully soon, to actually doing one with him. I had him on the podcast as well, and he's such a, like, he was tearing up, and it's so pure. He's just so passionate again about what he does. But definitely, I said to him then, and I stand by it, the second those borders open, I'll join you wherever it is in the States. I'll be there. But
Game on. I will find you as well, so we can cross the country and meet up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Grant, thank you so much for your time, for everything that you do. It's incredible, and I'm feeling even more motivated to. We're recording this on a Friday, and I've got my weekend ahead of me now, and I'm very excited. You've pumped me up for it.
I love it. Make the most of it. Go out and carpe that diem.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Grant, and I will see you soon.
I'll see you soon. We'll see you for when you come. Wakeboarding behind a plane. This is happening. We're manifesting.
Absolutely.
All I can say is, wow, Grant is such a brilliant, brilliant person. And what he's achieved in his life is phenomenal. He's incredibly intelligent, incredibly talented at all things sport, and most importantly, just an all-around great guy. I'm looking forward to catching up with him in the near future. Fingers crossed I can get over and go for a ride with him, and maybe even go for a little bit of a flight. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have, make sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel and to whatever else or whatever other platform you're listening to it on. And until the next one, we'll see you soon.